The Ketchikan Indian community cares deeply about the European green crab because they recognize the demonstrable track record of devastation that this invasive species has left on a global scale. This isn't just an Alaskan issue. We've seen it on the East Coast, we've seen it in California, we've seen it in Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, Brazil, Australia. They all say the same thing. They decimate marine habitats. They are voracious predators. They can eat up to 40 juvenile clams per day per crab. They outcompete our native crabs, including Dungeness, red rock, all of them, because they're such voracious predators in the intertidal ecosystems. They tear up critical marine habitats such as eelgrass, which serves as nursery grounds for all of our native species. So when it goes up and its burrowing behavior rips up this essential critical habitat, it leaves no protective buffer for our native species to grow and develop, which in turn leads to declined populations of our native species. So that is ultimately devastating to local communities for recreation, subsistence, commercial use. It's not only massive impacts on an ecological scale, this has far-reaching, serious economic implications, particularly when you're considering the economy of Alaska. We have a larger fishery than dang near the entire lower 48 combined. And already Washington has issued a state of emergency just through the state for $6 million per year because it's devastated their Dungeness crab industry. The East Coast estimates anywhere from 18 million to 22 million spent on green crab management alone. So this is a massive issue on multiple different scales, and it's going to have very serious implications for the people and the ecosystems of Alaska. So KIC, they've been listening to the lower 48 as this population continues to move upward. They listen to the tribes in British Columbia as their populations began to significantly increase, and they listened to Metlakatla as they discovered their first live crab in 2022 and saw as those numbers continue to rise, and then we begin to get detections in Ketchikan. In October, they put me on it. They gave me their absolute support. When I started, the environmental specialist with KIC had already laid a foundation, a groundwork for permitting and some equipment and protocol and a network of people I can talk to. So this has been something that has been in development for years. It wasn't until October of 2025 that we started a very active trapping regimen, where I have been trying to determine the density and spatial distribution of this species and try to identify sites that we should prioritize for protection, primarily areas that have dense crab populations or eelgrass meadows. After I established those sites, I started a regular trapping regimen. I have found green crabs at every single site I have trapped at this point. Not all of them in high densities, as all along the Ketchikan road system, because it's the only way I can access these sites at this point. As our program develops, we're going to move off of the road system and survey more sites within the Ketchikan Indian community's jurisdiction. So that's going to develop as the program moves forward. But for the time being, I have surveyed as far south as Herring Cove and as far north as Potter Point, which is several miles past Totem Bite State Park. And I found crabs at every single site, and they are all mini adults in every single one, which tells us they've been there for years. This population is established, and we have no reason to expect any different than what we've seen on Metlakatla Indian Reserve and Annette Island, which is a 1,900% increase in crab detections over the course of the next couple of years. A trapping event is just a gathering of like-minded, concerned people who would like to join me on any of my regular trapping cycles, which is what is happening this Saturday, and we've had high densities of crabs in that area. It's something that I'm going to be trapping regularly, and this is just an opportunity for the public to join. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Halsell. I'm the wildlife biologist with the Ketchikan Indian community. Thank you all so much for taking the time to come out and learn about the management program that KIC has put together to help mitigate and better understand the exponentially increasing, highly invasive, absolutely destructive European green crab. They are native to Europe and Asia, but they have since colonized 5 continents, I believe.
All of them except for Antarctica.
All of them except for Antarctica. They are incredibly voracious predators. One crab can eat up to 40 bivalve shellfish per day. Females can reproduce 2, maybe 3 times per year, depending on the location. Each clutch can contain 180,000 eggs. So incredible reproductive potential. They can withstand a huge variety of environmental conditions, salinity, temperature, things that might mitigate the spread of other species. These guys take in stride. That's why they are having a global impact.
I know KIC put in to create an emergency fishery and it was denied. Can you tell us a little bit about that? So one of the things we recognized is that if we don't start taking care of green crab right away, then we're going to have an explosion. We're going to lose our Dungeness. And President Cook from Craig belongs to the Alliance of Sovereign Southeast Tribes, and together with a bunch of other tribal leaders, including Tlingit and Haida, Metlakatla, we're all gathered together around this issue. And so we put in an application for a fishery hoping to mitigate that. And then we kind of got a real, I would call it borderline rude, disrespectful letter back from the commissioner about it. And so could you kind of go into some of the reasons why the state doesn't feel like this is an issue?
Absolutely. So we submitted an emergency petition to the Board of Fisheries because they are in charge of the regulatory issues concerning Alaska's fisheries industry. They only have a 3-year cycle, so we submitted an emergency so we can get it in now. That petition was recently declined last week. All the reasons that I gave you already: habitat destruction, decimation of our ecology and economic fisheries industry, huge issues. I outlined all of that in the petition. Their response was, there is no current evidence that eelgrass beds are declining. There is demonstrable global evidence that eelgrass beds will decline. That's why this is called being proactive in our management. So they might not be seeing it now, but then again, the state isn't surveying for eelgrass meadows, so they don't know whether they're declining or not. That's postulation based on ignorance. Excuse me, in my opinion.
That is Ketchikan Indian community's opinion as well.
Okay, lovely. The standard operating procedure for trapping is that it's a 24-hour trap period. So I check the tides on the NOAA webpage, and at low tide, I go out and I set the traps. And then the water comes in, and it will never, I pick days and times that the water will never go back out far enough to expose those traps. That prevents bycatch, things like mink and bird from getting in. Bycatch is an unfortunate inevitability of trapping anything, as we all know, unfortunately. But just to prevent that, ethical trapping practices, the water should never re-expose the trap. The following day, so 24 hours later at the low tide again, we go out. The traps are then exposed, and that's when we catch them. In this little bucket here, you will find juvenile European green crabs that I just handpicked this morning. I just walked along the rocks, flipping them over, and I found 5. To the untrained eye, you can confuse a green crab with maybe a juvenile Dungeness or even a shore crab, which are 2 native species. But the difference is, and once you see them a handful of times, you can't mistake them from anything else. The European green crab, they have 5 spikes on each side of their eyeballs. They extend straight from their carapace. Dungeness will have 10 smaller ones. Shore crab will have anywhere from 2 to 3 spines on their eyeballs. European green crabs have 5 spines on each side of their eyeballs, and they're the only species currently present in Alaska to have that characteristic. And I would also like to point out one fact that everybody should be aware of when they're identifying green crab. Not all European green crabs are green. You can't judge the crab by its cover. Some are red, some are orange, some have really unique patterns on them. So the telltale characteristic is always the spines on the side of their eyeball, on each side of their eyeball, because we don't want to confuse our poor little innocent shore crabs, which are very green and also have spines, with the invasive green crab. See these spikes on their side right there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the only species in Alaska that has those 5 spikes. That's how you identify a green crab.
Careful.
So best way to hold a crab is always by the butt, basically, so that they can't pinch you. Or you can hold them like right by the base of the
By his
claws.
butt. I guess he's gonna hear. Grab right there.
There you go. Don't get your fingers too far up though. They can still reach back a little.
Okay, now give him back to Keenan. I'm not gonna help you.
So in Alaska, the green crab is categorized as a Class A banned invasive species, which means they consider it the highest priority of invasive species. They do not want people capturing it, moving it, transporting it, doing anything with it. So even to search for shells, you have to have a permit. There are permits online, they're just general, you don't have to submit an application, you have to go and print off a permit that is a green crab carapace permit, essentially. And it gives you permission to search the beaches and then destroy the shells and then report them to the state. So even to look for the shells, you need a permit. To trap them, you need a scientific aquatic resource permit, which is what I have that allows me to go from various beaches that I already reported to the state that I would be surveying and trap those areas. Once I have trapped the individual, I have very strict stipulations, mandates from the state of what I'm supposed to do with the remains of those cold crabs, and I'm not allowed to use them in any capacity. They have to be disposed of and then either landfilled or composted or something, but they still cannot be used. The Ketchikan Indian community recently submitted an emergency petition to the Board of Fisheries requesting that they change the categorization of the green crab from Class A, banned invasive species, to Class B, banned invasive species. This would allow them to open up a recreational fishery for the crab. So anybody with a permit could go out and capture them and then make use of them, because there are things that you can do with these crabs. They would make fantastic chicken feed. Chickens are basically the only livestock that you can have in this area, laying hens. Crabs are filled with calcium. They could be ground up and turned into feed. They could turn into compost for soil amendment, also very expensive in this area. They could be turned into seafood stock, which chefs on the East Coast say is a fantastic tasting option. So there are things that could be done, but as of now, with the designation being what it is, we can't capture them, we can't touch them, we can't do anything with them.
Okay, so we got a female Dungeness crab here, and this one's trying to push me a little bit.
Yeah, the Dungies are pinchers. All right, you said female?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, this is the one we want to keep alive until they're big and yummy, except for not females. I mean, we want to keep the females alive too, but these are the yummy ones.
Emily, I have a question. What year did you guys get the green crab $500,000 grant that we still haven't received?
That would have been in early 2025.
So in early 2025, the department got a grant for $500,000 to help mitigate green crab, and it still hasn't been released from tribal governance. And so, we're seeing these explode in Metlakatla here. We had the resources that have been designated, but we still haven't had them released. And so then this year, Ketchikan Indian community declared a state of emergency and went ahead and moved some of our tribal funds and our ARPA funds towards green crab mitigation.
Please submit any detections of European green crab, live or just carapaces, to Alaska's invasive species coordinator. She can be reached at tammy.davis@alaska.gov. And these detections are going to go a long way in eventually changing the regulations of the state. The more detections that we have documented with our invasive species coordinator will ultimately move us closer and closer to either getting funding from the state, which as of now is not forthcoming, getting the state to petition Congress to give us federal funds like Washington has done, or change the regulation to allow people to mitigate this increasing population on a local level. None of that will happen if we do not submit the reports of these sightings. So the more reports that are out there, the better. So please submit everything you see to the state. You are always welcome to join in any outreach event that I decide to host, and they will be ongoing on a regular basis, particularly during the spring and summer when the weather and tides are accommodating. I will update you on the status of the population. You can learn trapping techniques, and you're always welcome to come join us. If that's something you wanted to do on a regular basis, I am welcoming volunteers. People can come out, contact me whenever I'm going out into a certain area, or just whenever I'm going out. Having an extra set of hands is never a bad thing. So, European green crab, what are we looking at, Keenan?
We're looking at a male European green crab.
Will you show them?
Yes. Okay, so like Dungeness crab, you can tell the difference between a male and a female by their underside, which is called, was it Telson, right? Is that what it's called?
I always feel that.
Okay, yeah, that's a male.
Yep.
Okay, so is a female.
So that actually, funny enough, I've actually had a little bit of trouble early on trying to sex these males and females because the concept is still there that the females still have a really wider abdominal plate, but they're not as apparent as Dungies are.
So females will have that wider base on their abdominal plate because that's where they hold their clutch when they have eggs. They have their eggs and they keep them on them,
I can't tell.
protected
Yeah,
under
these
that
guys are
little
kinda
plate,
tough
so
to-
it's bigger.
So this is a male on this side and a female on this side.
Gravid females, which means females with eggs, they like shelter. They don't hunt much at that stage. They just want to hunker down and sit tight. Them, along with the juveniles that I handpick, they like the rocks. They want a lot of structure to hide and protect them from the waves. One thing that I'm really going to call on the local community for, if you own beachfront property and you think that you have either seen green crab or you think this is there's freshwater inlets, this is perfect green crab habitat, bays, anywhere that's sheltered coves away from wave energy. If you've seen them or if you think that you live in an area that might have them and you are okay with allowing KIC to come through your property to access these sites, please contact me at ehalsell@kictribe.gov because as of now, there are several sites that I really want to get into that I just don't have the best access. Potter Point is one of them, Mud Bay is another. As of now, we have to do a pretty goodly hike into some areas to access them. So homeowners, we can access the trapping sites through your property, that would be fantastic. I can add them to my permits and they can become trappers. I can leave folks with some traps and I can leave them with bait. I can amend my permit so regular people, anybody who is interested, can become involved in this trapping, and the more traps that we have, the better. I will train people, I will provide traps, I will provide bait. Right now I'm just looking for access to sites that green crab might be seen or have been seen.